and welcome to the Psych and Business Podcast, where we highlight the integration of psychology and psychological principles into the world of business and organizations. I'm your host, Dr. Ernest Wayde. Over the last few weeks, I have walked you through an introduction and a brief overview of some of the prominent team effectiveness models. Now, I want to reiterate that the 7 team effectiveness models that I went through are not by any means an exhaustive list. There are also a number of other well-known models that I didn't go through just because I honestly can't go through all of them. Now, luckily, there are professional coaches and consultants, such as many of the guests that I have had on the show who have expertise in these models. I would actually venture to say that for each team effectiveness model that I have gone through, and the many others that I have not introduced you to, there is a coach or consultant out there that has expertise in that model, and they would be happy to help you and your team as you work to improve your team effectiveness. As a leader, it's important to have some frame of reference or some model to help you and your team as you work to enhance and improve your team's relationships, functionings, and efficiency. And there are many team effectiveness models out there to help you. Now, whichever you pick will be a great point of reference for you to start with. I really want to highlight that most of these models leverage well-known psychological principles and concepts and are based on well-established research of human behavior and team effectiveness. For example, Tuckman's stage of team development, which are forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning, nicely lay out small group organizational behavior and how it evolves as a team develops over time. The expected individual and team behaviors for each stage, like personal resistance behaviors that are associated with the storming stage, help leaders and team members understand why people are behaving a certain way and also what can be done to help move people and the team through that stage. Belbin Team Role Model, which identifies the different roles that individuals tend to naturally adopt within the team, such as the coordinator, the implementer, the team worker, and others, is a fantastic model to help team members understand the different roles and responsibilities on a team. The model also does a really good job of helping you understand some of the behaviors, strengths, and weaknesses of people who might be inclined to fill these roles. Personally, this model is helpful to me as a leader because I can sometimes come across as the coordinator, which is known to be associated with being manipulative at times. This is very helpful because it allows me to monitor my behaviors and adapt them accordingly when working with others so that I don't come across in a negative way. Some of the other models we looked at include the VA model, which divides team effectiveness into team relationships and team functioning. I like this model because I strongly believe that while team functioning is what gets the job done, team relationships, the interpersonal stuff like respect and psychological safety, are the lubrication, the grease, the oil, if you will, that facilitates smooth functioning of the team machine. If the team members are not getting along, the functionings like communication, collaboration will surely suffer and negatively impact overall team performance. Now, you can actually see this as well in the GRPI model, which identifies the 4 key factors for team success, specifically goals of the team, roles in the team, processes of the team, and interpersonal relationships within the team. For interpersonal relationships, the model identifies the need for trust, open communication, and feedback between team members and suggests that teams that don't focus on these areas will pay the price in things like lack of alignment, poor conflict management, stilted communication, and a serious lack of trust, which impacts productivity, efficiency, and the achievement of the business results. Interestingly, the 5 dysfunctions model comes from the other angle in the terms of what not to do approach. But the 5 dysfunctions of Lencioni's team, namely the absence of trust, harmony over conflict, or basically the fear of conflict, the lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and an inattention to results, still shows what teams need to do to be successful. I love that the absence of trust is the first critical dysfunction here because trust is foundational in effective leadership, both for a leader and for team dynamics. The lack of trust can result in team members hiding mistakes, jumping to negative conclusions, and avoiding vulnerabilities. If you haven't already noticed, you can see that most of these models have similarities and overlap. Like the fear of conflict in the 5 dysfunctions is similar to the Tuckman forming stage where people are polite, cautious, and most people try to avoid conflict at all costs. The VA model and the GRPI model also have a lot of similarities. So yes, these models are unique in their own way and are also similar in some of the concepts they represent. This is great because it means you can really use the model that works best for you and your team and the situation that you are in, and you are unlikely to go wrong, whichever model you pick. Additionally, some of these models can actually be used in conjunction with each other and can be complementary. So you could use more than one, really. The Hackman model emphasizes the importance of creating a system, not just focusing on individual characteristics or behaviors within the team. It has 3 internal factors, specifically enabling structure, having a compelling direction, and creating a real team. But it also has 2 external factors, namely the existence of expert coaching to help the team and organizational support. Now, this is one of the few models we talked about that acknowledges the importance of external factors to the success of the team, with the other being the Korn Ferry T7 model. The T7 model has 5 internal structures and 2 external factors, one of them also being that organizational support. So while these 2 models also acknowledge internal factors needed for team success, they also recognize some strategic organizational elements, not necessarily in the control of the team, that must be present for team success. Hopefully, you can see how these models are helpful to leaders and teams to help them be collectively successful in achieving the team goal or purpose. These models focus on human behavior and leveraging psychological principles and concepts to help us all understand our teammates, our team roles, and offer suggestions to help teams continue to improve and succeed as a team. If you're not using a team effectiveness model to help guide your team development, improvement, and performance, I strongly suggest taking advantage of one of these models and consider an expert to help you best leverage it. Okay, a lot of information for you to consider. I hope it has been helpful, and I invite you to join us again.